Hi everyone, welcome back to the Nest. This week I'm going to put a couple catch-up videos showing Algy working on his youngster build. We need to get, he's got quite a bit ahead of me and I want to get those videos out to you. As you can see, we got the YouTube studio put back together now, and we're going to be putting together some more informative content with regards to the things that are going on in the shop and what's going on with our design work and landing gear and all this kind of thing. So we've got lots of interesting stuff coming. But now, after the introduction, here's Algy Yates. This is Fisher Flying Products. I'm Dave Hartner. Welcome to the Nest. Our video newsletters provide weekly insight into building and flying our 15 wooden aircraft designs. Polini Motori of Italy is a gracious sponsor of our channel. Polini's the manufacturer of the Thor 303 DS. Cozy Carb Ice Prevention Systems is a proud sponsor of this channel as well. Please take the time to watch our videos to the end, as this assists us in the metrics that YouTube uses to rate our channel. Hit the like button if you feel that the content is worthy. We invite you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the subscribe button and hitting the bell so that you are notified whenever we post our newsletters.
Hi and welcome to the video. A productive week. Test flights of the aircraft post-maintenance. Take 2, as you have seen on Saturday. We've got half the wing ribs now have been completed. Not all of the wing ribs for one wing, one would say, so there's still a couple of little trick ribs that need to be made up. The 2 forward lower spars have been just about completed, and you'll see that in detail on the video as I finish those off. And another 2 tip bows have been done, and you'll see one of those in detail how I laminate that. We've got upper spar started, forward spar started, so we're clocking along well. So let's see how we get on with it. So I'm just going to mark on here where the block is. Get a rough idea so I don't end up drilling into the spar sections that I want to keep. 1/2 inch brad bit. That corner a bit more. Like that, so don't touch the other side. Border hole. Just got the we get this. This is, I've set the router up so it doesn't touch the bottom, and we'll see how we get on. That's a good plug-in, I suppose. That's not too bad. I thought there'd be a bit more of an issue if there's any squeeze out down there, but it doesn't seem to be. Let's get this one in. Job to do. Job done. So there's a little bit of unevenness just around the edge where I've got a little bit of squeeze out, made the router jump. Well, not jump, but run not quite true, so I've just got a small block. Just getting rid of where that bit of squeeze out is and just straightening up those edges just that little bit. And quick whiz around with a bit of 120 around the edge of the holes. Awful lot of debris in there. The reason I used a 1/2 inch diameter router, so we've got some nice rounded corners on the gusset, so there's no stress risers. Of course, the trouble with that is in these corners we do get a little bit of dirt. You can sort of see. Let me just bring you in a little bit closer. Set the router fairly deeply, and where the sawdust gets spun, let's put a mark on here. The other one is even worse. Let me show you. Yeah, you'll see there's a few marks, but none of those have any depth to them at all. It's just a little bit of a burn mark from the sawdust. So, yeah, if I'd set the router just that little bit higher, that might not have happened. So just bear that in mind. Those burn marks not even affecting the surface; it's smooth going across there. So, but in fact, sanded away, look, in some places. So no problems there. It hasn't affected it. The straps here are 1 1/4 inches up from the bottom face on the main front spars. So that is the initial plan. So I'll get that set up, we'll get that drawn on. I'm going to draw 2 lines fairly far out from each other. I put my rule set up like that so it's stopped there. Now those are just slightly high. I'll put my rule now along there, along that edge. Now when I draw, we'll get a line with that offset for the thickness of the rule. See what I mean? There's a little mark step. That's because I've gone on the end, and then we set it back. So that's allowed for the error from the way of drawing. We've got rid of that. That is now the centre line for the straps going across there. This lower corner here, it comes out 1 1/2 inches to the hole, centre of the hole, from the edge of the spar, the end of the spar. So I'll just continue the line on to the jig piece, and then I want it to be 1 1/2 inches in from the end there. So what I'll do is if I go to the 2-inch mark and mark at the 1/2 inch mark, I'll get that spot on. So that's where I'm going to drill a hole. I'm going to make it actually a 5mm hole. I'm going to enlarge this hole to 5mm. I'll just let that slip. Then we'll be able to put a bolt through there, get that lined up, and we'll be able to start the drilling there for the bushes. For the vertical here, I'm just going to draw a line that's in line with the edge of the wood here. I'm now going to measure, because that's 1 1/2 inches across, the 3/4 inch mark. Line that up, making sure my pencil's actually on my marks. There, that's where the vertical is going to be, and that goes up there, and then it's 1 inch from the top, so I can go there. Now, just to make sure I get things going right, inboard end, spar top, like that. So again, but this one's going to have to be drilled out to 1/4, because I think all of the verticals have been pre-drilled 1/4, just to make life a little bit awkward. So I'll drill this one out to 1/4. But now I've got that datum line there in line with this, I can use it again on the other. There we have the 2 drill jigs for the lower spars made up. what I've done here is I've cut all the bushes to length using a standard pipe cutter. I've deburred the inside at one end to make sure that the inner bush can fit into the outer, and then the whole lot, well, all the inner ones have been wire wheeled to make sure that there's nothing on the surface, to get rid of the anodizing on the surface there, because it doesn't bond, anodizing doesn't bond very well, unfortunately. Then all the bushings have been cleaned using brake cleaner, because it's a very powerful cleaner. For those of you out in the USA and that, you can get MEK, but in this country under the Montreal Protocol we can't. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stick, using this little device here, I'm just going to wipe some around the inside of the bush. I'll just leave that inside there. I'm going to stick a little bit on the outside of a bush. It doesn't need to be all the way up because it's going to get pushed in, and that will get it there. And then rotating as I push, I'll make sure that that is fully seated like that. These will now set, and then I will turn the end off nice and square, and I'll turn the other end to length, and we'll just rough up the outside ready to be bonded into the wood. Jig's held in place. Bolt with this particular tab bolted in, the centre line here going through the centre of those holes. I'm just going to use a 4.8mm brad bit just to make a start. On each side there. Now I can remove that. I've got those two start points there. I can now use a 1/2 inch brad bit on the pillar drill to bore through for the two bushings at this end. This is for the vertical, which has already been bored out to final size. So I'm just repeating the measure with a 1/4 inch brad bit here. I'm just going to take a measurement from there across to make sure that we're not going to end up cutting into the cap. I'll just draw that line across. And that must be more than 1/4 inch, which it is. Oh, thank goodness for that. Right, so the bushings which were bonded together, I'm just turning the ends. Oops, I'm just turning the ends off square at the moment in the lathe. You could do this by, if you've got a 1/2 inch or greater chuck on your pillar drill, you could stick it into there and use a file to do this, just to clean up the ends and make them square. I've got a lathe, so I'll use it. You can just hopefully see the glue line between the two bits of aluminium there, the two bits of tube. No real void there, which is good. So the next stage is to measure the total length of this, measure what the length is that I need, and then I'll be able to calculate how much to turn these down to get them to the length I actually need them to be. From my research in my old books, because I can't find anything modern about it, the bushings should be between 2 and 10 thou below the surface of a wooden structure that's being clamped, so the clamping force is, as they put it, being applied to the wood. And the reasoning that they gave in the manual is, if this is proud, this will allow the bushing to move in the wood, causing wear and elongation. So I'm going to try and make these just a little bit shorter than the total width. Hey ho, we'll see how we get on later. So holes bored on both sides. The bush slips in there. It's a nice fit, not over tight. So I just want to measure the total width there, which comes out as 22.3 millimeters. Okay, so I'll put a bit of the old brown packing tape on here, make sure it's good around the holes. We'll stick it that way up. I'll just take the bushings out. I've mixed up some T88 and I'll put it onto my swazzle stick, as I'll call it. Get that coated around the inside of that hole. If it's a little bit more than needed, and I want that to be right inside there, and it's right the way down to the bottom. You can see it coat. I'm just going to let that one settle a little bit. I'll do the other hole. Just a little bit more. That's ready for the other side. Right, so go push that, put that bolt through there. Now, in theory, although it might not go through because we need to ream the thing. Oh yeah, so we just need to ream out that little bit of resin out of there. That bolt fits through, so let's see what that's like. Yeah, so the plan says AM4-12A, and there's no way that bolt is in safety. So let's try a 14. It looks like it needs to be about a 14, so let's try that. Yeah, that's got a nice piece of plain shank just there, which is engaging with the hole, so that's the size I'm going for. Okay, for the inboard end of the spar, I've just cleaned out the glue there. I've mounted the strap here using the jig we used to do the initial mark out, so that's all in place with this particular strap in position there. So with it turned over, I can now, I'm just sighting down to make sure that the hole's central, and I'm going to bore the hole through. Take the ream and ream that hole. Just to add an extra little bit of security, I'm just going to drop a bolt through there. I'll drill this one. Just run the deburrer around. Just a couple of loops. No real pressure. Remember, we're just we're deburring. We're not countersinking. The same with these holes. They're now reamed. The trick. There's hardly any movement there, which is good. There we go. So that's that one sorted out. Okay, so I've transferred the marks across, usual sort of centre line bits going across, drew it out, sanded and cleaned the surface here, sanded and cleaned the surface here. It just needs to be blown with air now, and we're ready to bond bits on. There are the pieces made up. As you can sort of see, I've just sanded a slight rounding on the edge there, just to help with the varnish, and the slight chamfer there. So we've got 4 made up. Make sure you make both sides. The doubler's glued into position. Just needs a little bit of a sand to get rid of some of the excess glue. There's not an awful lot of squeeze out there. I've put the 2 verticals in. I've just pinched them up lightly with a spanner. I put a standard bolt through here to hold this diagonal in place, and I just continued the centre line going up to make sure that it's on the centre line there. I've drawn 2 lines. I don't know if you can see them, just there and there. That one shows the spar. That shows where the highest point the hole can be. You can see this is quite way down from there, so we're okay. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to same way as I did the other end, I'm just going to put the marks in with a brad bit through these holes, bore them out, and put in the bushings. Okay, I think I might have given an error when I was talking about bolt lengths. Here we've got AN 14As. This is the lower front spar, and AN 16As, which of course you'd anticipate these being AN 16A because it's got to be the same width, but here it's showing as an AN 14A. That confuses me a little bit on the grounds they need to be the same length, so I think there's a slight error there. At the root end here we've got AN 14 showing for the upper spar in both positions there. It doesn't tell us what it should be here, so I would anticipate those being 14As. And on my spars themselves I can confirm 16A, 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 14A, 14A, and 14A, 14A, and there we have the plain section of the shank just going into the aluminium piece on the far side. The upper spar, well, it should be the same sizes, so these ones here should be AN for 16As, as it shows. That would make sense. It doesn't particularly show what these ones should be, so I'm anticipating them all being that. But here it's got AN12A. There's no way that's a 12A. Looking at the thicknesses of the wood and everything that's being involved, that'll be a 14A. As you can see, I've got these brackets in position. I just picked up these holes here exactly the same way as the root end. Okay, so I've just weighed out my resin. 20 grams of the part A, 16.6 grams of the part B. I've got the strips here. There's just a loop of masking tape, so it's stuck down onto the surface, but it's got the sticky side up holding the strips so that they're close together. And unlike most joints, I don't put resin on both sides and then stick it together. It doesn't really help. If you've got too much resin between the joints, it's hard for it to squeeze out. So you see, I need 5 laminates to go around. Only 4 are here because I only need to put resin on 4 of them. Now comes the fighting bit. Let's see if I can set you up so you can see what we do there. Okay, so you've seen what I've been up to this week, and made some good progress. In the next week's video, I'm going to go into detail a little bit on how I actually make the wing ribs, so you can sort of see my methodology there, and we'll see what else we get up to of interest from there on. So, catch me next week. Bye now.
Thanks again for watching. We try hard to bring you interesting content each week. To help us out, please like and share our videos if you feel the content is worthy. To receive the latest info from Fisher Flying Products, click the subscribe button and ring the bell. See you next time in the nest.